Raghunath, are you ready for this?
What?
The wisdom of the sages trainings that are going on.
Where?
At the Eco Village, the Govardhan Eco Village in India.
Why?
To totally transform your life spiritually.
Who?
You, me, Raghunath Swami's going to be there. Other great teachers are going to be there. Lots of cool people.
How?
You go to wisdomofthesages.com/events. You find all the information there.
Haribo.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Mandala Springs in Cobb, California. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to beautiful Northern California, where it is really hot in the daytime and freezing in the morning. And we're here at 6 a.m. here. By the way, everyone listening on Zoom, it's 5 a.m. here? It's 5 a.m. here. All right. Okay, it's 5 a.m. here. It's 8 a.m. Eastern time. And tomorrow, because we're still in Californian time, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go 8 a.m. Eastern time if you're listening on this at Zoom. If you want to join us at Zoom, you can do it. Email Mara, wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com, and she will send you the secret codes that you can enter into our very private chambers, our inner chambers.
Okay. His inner chambers.
And it is Sleeping Sunday. And we did 2 shows yesterday. We're doing 1 show today. We're wrapping up the Chant Camp Festival. Had Karnam Rita sing last night. She's
so many talented
people here. It's incredible. And yeah.
All right, you ready to go?
We got lots of questions. It's Q&A day today. Again, we're doing Q&A day. And yeah, we're going to jump right in. Any announcements, Mara?
Do we know for sure what's going on tomorrow?
Yeah, 8 a.m.
Okay.
Eastern time. And then you're going to jump right in a cab and go right to your flight. All right. Just lay over our laps.
Good morning. There's a Bhakti Recovery Group meeting at 9:30 a.m. today. Also today is the Urban Devi meeting at the Bhakti Center online. So if you're interested in that, you can go to bhakticenter.org and look at their online events. And it's actually 11 a.m. Eastern time to 12:30, I believe. Ananda Vrindavaneshwari is the speaker this month.
Ooh, that's worth checking out for sure. She's good. She's really good.
And then we also have Bhakti Recovery Group retreat coming up at Super Soul Farm October 4th through 7th, followed immediately by the Wisdom of the Sages retreat at Super Soul Farm October 7th through 9th with a special guest, hopefully some special guests.
Special guests.
Okay.
Right.
Secret guests. I think if you just say secret, it sounds more like a secret guest.
Okay. Is the secret ever revealed? Like, do people know who the special secret guest is ever?
No, it's secret.
It remains secret.
Even when they're there, they're in costume.
They don't know who it is.
They're in disguise. I tell you, when I was a kid, I always wanted to have some type of career where I could be in disguise on a regular basis. You know? All right, Kaustubha. You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to sneak out of here and go to Harbin Hot Springs. No, I can't. I can't say that.
Show here.
Okay, I can't say that today.
Okay, first question. We're going to call up Jai Shri. She's got a question for us, right? Is that right?
Jai Shri from Kavacha Designs?
Yes.
Okay, come on down. She's the one that makes these beautiful kavachas that I wear, Mara wears, Kaustubha does not wear because he's anti-jewelry. He's anti-decorating his body, yet he wears a nice hat.
That was supposed to be a punchline? Did you need like a rim shot for that?
Well, yesterday you were like, well, I don't wear jewelry.
I didn't make a big deal about it.
Well, you did. I was like, look at my thing. And you're like, oh, I don't wear jewelry. I was like, well, you're wearing a nice hat. Come on closer here, Jai Shri. Move in close. All I'm saying is it's okay to wear jewelry.
I never said it's not.
Okay. Jaishree, how are you? Jaishree has directed this entire thing, put on this entire production. She slept a total of how many hours last night? 3 hours and 45 minutes the night before. So, sir, get it right in the camera here. You can't even see her. Let's get it on speaker view. Okay.
I didn't do it alone.
You didn't? Oh, I thought you did it all. You said you did it all by yourself.
Well,
Okay, that's not us.
I know. Somehow our
What?
speaker view shows up there, but
where do you see where you are?
We're
Like,
right here. Okay. All right. Ask the question.
don't worry about this. You need.
Oh.
We're gonna have
What's-
to have a new focus. Okay, we're doing the show now. You ready?
All right, you got to do this tech
Why do
stuff
we-
then.
Why do we have deities?
This is from your friend, right?
Yeah, this is from my friend.
Why do we
She's
have
like,
deities?
I'm. This is the first time she's been around devotees, and she's like, this is so beautiful, but I just don't understand why you have these
Image worship, idolatry.
Dolls,
dolls.
right?
I mean, not in
I'm
an
the-
offensive way, but
That's a reasonable question.
yeah.
Reasonable question. God is everywhere. Why do we need deities? Why don't you treat
Right.
each other like a deity? You know how many intelligent people said that to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's a great question.
What's wrong with that one?
What's wrong with that? That's a great answer.
Something more you want to share?
Well, I wanted to tell you what I told her, even though it might not be. Okay.
You want to give an answer to your own question? Is that what's going on?
We know
Where's
the
that? Where
answers here.
are the?
The question is this is just
You gotta
such
come
a,
right in
this
here.
is such a neophyte answer, but it's just sometimes when I learn something, I get the answer and then it just sinks in, and then I don't remember all the details of why it's my truth, but it's just my truth. I'm just convicted in it. So because it gives us a personal relationship with God.
Okay. That's if it does. I mean, sometimes there's so many roadblocks into the way of getting that, like a personal relationship. It's a statue. You know what I mean? People are really, that is a real hurdle for a lot of people to get over. Like, okay, I get it. We're not the body. I get it. Vegetarianism. I get it. Wear a cool robe, you know? But I don't get a doll that we worship, that we dress, that we give everything to. That's our focus. We're enjoy. We're dancing around a doll. Someone said that to me recently. That's why I'm saying it so clearly. And I would say, here's the deal. I like to keep things super simple because I think if people in generally want a simple answer, then if they want to keep going further, then you give them a more refined answer. But I think the most simple answer is, yes, God is everywhere. God's in everyone's heart. But sometimes you just need a place to focus. You know, sometimes you need a place to focus. And you cut, like, suppose I get my groceries, I buy a bunch of fruit, and I want to offer that fruit. I want to place on an altar. I want a place to sit. I want a place to sit and chant. I want a place to, if I pick a flower on my lawn, I want to offer it on the altar. And these are tiny acts of devotion where I can just, if you say God is everywhere, what am I going to put a flower on the windowsill, or I can put a flower? No, I want a central place to focus. And I think that's like sort of a simple answer. I can honestly say and practically say that with my children, I've always had an altar. And therefore the kids grew up saying, okay, let's, instead of, that we see a flower on a walk, I'll say, they'll end up saying, let's pick that flower for Krishna. Let's offer this to Krishna. Because for them, it holds the mind as a meditational place. For me, I had a very big, deal trying to understand the deities. And I think that's reasonable. And I think that's something people get. But there is something incredibly advanced about this culture that you can actually make, and I wouldn't tell this to them right off the get-go. Like, you actually develop love of God taking care of a deity. It sounds so strange, but it really does, because you put your consciousness in the mind of the deity. Like, when I do my deity worship, I'm thinking like, oh, it's cold today. My deities are going to be cold. Now, that might sound crazy if you're on the outside looking into this stuff, but you start to think of Krishna as a being, as a person. It's cold today, or it's hot today.
Right to her.
Right? Yeah. My deity needs sandalwood pulp. It's too hot today. He won't be able to tolerate this heat. And you put yourself in the mind of that, of the deity. And because of that, you're concerned about, you're actually concerned about Krishna. And you'll take that with you in the course of your day. But I keep it simple. Kostuba, what about you?
No, I think that, I mean, I think that's an important part of it, a real important part of it. But let's like where I usually go with this kind of thing is like, I think we have these ideas when we grew up, we were watching like films and stuff like, and you get these images of like primitive people that have some bizarre idea that there's this like idol, and that if the idol becomes angry at us, it's going to wipe us out. And now you're like submitting yourself to that idol. The whole thing doesn't make sense. It's some bizarre superstition. These are primitive people that just really don't have any kind of scientific worldview that's developed at all. So they're worshiping some material form. It has no real meaning, and it's just the whole thing's primitive. That's I think we get a little bit of that in us. Then of course there's the whole idea of you know, coming from, especially through the Bible, you know, the Judeo-Christian religions have serious, you know, there's all kind of warnings and so on about idolatry. And again, I think even there it's presented as a type of primitive kind of idea. Now, what I believe is you got to reframe the whole thing. That when you go back to the ancient culture in India, the Vedic culture, it's not primitive at all. Like these people, they were advanced in medicine, they're advanced in science, they're advanced in architecture, they're advanced in so many ways, you know. But they were really advanced. They were more advanced than we are now. Was an understanding of the mind and how the mind works. They went into it. You know, they had much more peaceful minds. The things that we discover now with MRIs and so on, whether they knew that exactly, but they were going in and examining how the mind works, understanding the patterns of the mind, and developing ways to retrain the mind, right? And that's called meditation. So meditation is a way where you habitually redirect, you focus and redirect your mind, where your thoughts go.
That is a great way to frame it.
I think this is a good way to frame it.
Say that again. Say that again.
Well, in other words,
Say what you said again.
Like I just defined meditation.
Yeah. Yes.
I said that meditation is a way of focusing and redirecting your thoughts, where your mind goes. And they rather than just being controlled by their minds, they realized we can actually gain control of the mind. They were able to separate themselves from their mind, become observers of their own minds, and develop the means by which they can redirect the mind. And that's called meditation. So deity worship is meditation. Think of it that way. People don't have, like your friend probably doesn't have a problem with the idea of meditation, but this seems very foreign, and it's a way, it's an effective method of meditation. And so what this deity worship, or what it is it's like a guided meditation. It's like, here are the steps, right? We call it krama, right? Like it's step by step how you follow it. These great meditators developed step-by-step meditations to help redirect our mind. And so that's what's happening in this deity worship. But the important point, and this gets to also what Raghunath was mentioning, was the idea that, well, why do you think God is in this form? And we said, well, God is everywhere, right? And that's something that people have an easier time, many people have an easier time kind of like grabbing onto that idea. But the whole point we consider like the great saints, like the people that were like really super involved, they don't even need the deity in their life. They're carrying God in their heart, and they realize it. We're all carrying God in the heart, but they're realizing it at every moment. So the worship of the deity is not actually needed for them. And actually the warnings come until you're on that level. It's helpful, right? It's helpful. So we have like two paths. It's two paths in one, two tracks going in the same direction.
It's like the training wheels.
It in a sense. I mean, I don't want to make it sound like it's totally like some remedial thing, but it is a fact for this. When you've achieved the goal of this, that practice is not necessary. But actually, you're still doing that in your mind and in your heart, or in spiritual realm is the idea. But the idea is like, yeah, I'm training my mind and even my body to act as if it were in the spiritual realm, to act as if it is fully absorbed in the love of God. And this is I want to read a little something. Let me read two things. First, I want to go into the scientific realm, and then I want to talk a little bit about how the Bhagavatam talks about this practice of deity worship. But I'm going to need to gain control of that computer, right? In order to do
Yeah, I
it.
got it for you.
No, that's not it.
No. Okay.
So this is from Forbes magazine. Okay, 7
I was
ways.
wondering why you're reading Forbes this morning.
That's right, full of little Forbes. And this
That's
is
what he reads every morning. Forbes.
7 ways meditation could actually change the brain. So what we're talking about here is not even like some speculative thing about meditation. This is like people that are like monitoring the brain with like modern equipment and seeing how meditation affects it.
Mhm.
And so I'm just going to quickly read some things that they say. You know, the meditation and the brain research has been rolling in steadily for a number of years now, with new studies coming out just about every week to illustrate some new benefit of meditation, or rather some ancient benefit that is just now being confirmed with MRI and EEG. The practice appears to have amazing variety of neurological benefits, from changes in gray matter volume to reduced activity in the me centers of the brain, to enhance connectivity between brain regions. Below are some of the most exciting studies to come out. So it goes into a lot of detail that I'm not going to go into, but some of the headlines, meditation helps preserve the aging brain. Meditation reduces activity in the brain's me center. And it says one of the most interesting studies in the last few years carried out at Yale University found that mindfulness meditation decreases activity in the default mode network, the DMN. The brain network responsible for mind wandering and self-referential thoughts, aka monkey mind.
Monkey mind. That's the scientific term, monkey mind?
Monkey mind. The DMN is on or active when we're not thinking about anything in particular, when our minds are just wandering from thought to thought. Since mind wandering is typically associated with being less happy, ruminating, and worrying about past and future, it's the goal for many people to dial it down. And so in any case, there's so many benefits to meditation. It affects rival antidepressants. It affects rival antidepressants for depression and anxiety. Meditation may lead to volume changes in key areas of the brain. Just a few days of training improves concentration and attention, right? That's where Raghunath's good. We need to focus, right? So these meditators understood that by using form, by involving the visual perception, that can enhance the meditation. But actually, it's all the senses. Aroma is involved, right? There's the visual involved. There's the tactile sense. All the senses become engaged in meditation on this form, in a guided meditation. And what it's meant to help you do is recognize God's presence in this form, but through that, to recognize God within oneself and within every living being. And so now I want to read a little Bhagavatam. Okay, ready? This is, I forget which sage this is. I think he's speaking to King Nimi. And he gets into a whole thing on just how to purify your mind. And so then he goes into the instructions on deity worship. And he says, one who desires to cut the knot of false ego, which binds the spirit's soul. They understood what does bind means. It means my mind's being controlled by what's coming in through my senses. I'm tired of being bound. I'm looking for a method to deal with that.
These are things that issues that people come up with on a normal basis. Like,
Totally.
I'm being controlled.
Yeah.
I'm
That's why you go to psychiatrists. That's why you take the medications.
I can't stop thinking of my resentment towards this person. I'm so angry. I have so much anger issues.
Yeah.
People have told me that. So stuff like that. Yeah, this is why we go to a therapist, a priest, a 12-step group. And here's the answer. We got the answer for you. Bhagavatam's got the answer.
He's got an answer. And not only that, but like we would say that all our suffering has to do with the false ego, with our false conception of who I am. So they recognize you think you're your body and you think you're your mind, and it's causing you pain. Let's come up with a method to free you from that bondage. And that's this kind of practice. So it says, one who desires to quickly cut the knot of false ego which binds the spirit soul should worship the Supreme Lord, Keshava or Krishna, by the regulations found in Vedic literatures, such as the Tantras. So there's ancient texts that explain how to do this. It explains that you should approach a master in this and gain their blessings when they think that it's actually going to be helped. Just like you go to a doctor, you don't just take any medication. You go to a doctor first. So you go to a master of this, and you say, will this help me at the stage that I'm at right now? And if they give the blessings, then you take it up. Then you find that particular form that is most dear to you. Then it describes, after cleansing oneself, you bathe yourself. You purify the body with pranayama and bhuta shuddhi. You want to mention that?
No.
Well, pranayama. Do you do pranayama before you do your
Yes, I do.
puja? So why?
To settle my mind.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah,
they
just settle my mind. So I'm whatever I'm thinking of, whatever I'm thinking of, whatever's going on in my mind. If there's some distress or something, it sort of takes my mind down. I've been doing it now, even publicly when I do a yoga class. I'll have pranayama before we chant, before we do chanting, and that way it helps people just get into the chanting.
Right.
So it's a purification. It's not the touchdown, but it's
it's a helpful step.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to concentrate my mind in this practice, and so these meditators recognize the connection between the breath and the mind. That the mind starts to settle through pranayama. So you do your pranayama. Bhuta shuddhi means there's an intentional focus to let go of my temporary identities that I have in this world before I begin this practice. So for the next 20 minutes that I'm doing this meditational practice, I'm going to just step out of the world that I'm in and enter into a new world. And that's a very powerful way of directing the mind.
How come Yoga Journal's not talking about this?
Because
Like,
they're just
why?
on the surface, they're just dealing with the very surface.
Change it. Let's change it. Let's take over. There's somebody out there from Yoga Journal, and we want you. We want your entire magazine. We're taking it over.
Okay.
We're going to redirect the trajectory of what you're offering here, and you're gonna like it.
You're gonna like it. You're gonna like it. Okay, so
You know what I was thinking the other day?
I don't know.
I would join this thing just for the food.
Okay.
Like just the food alone. Even if you go to the fanciest vegan restaurant, what do they got? It's like spaghetti with Beyond meatballs. You know what I mean? We've got there's places of India that we still haven't even, there's vegetarian dishes that you've never eaten food before. And there's thousands of them. They've been cooking from, these ladies, men, they've been cooking from childhood. They're rolling chapatis.
Where is this going, Raghunath?
I'm just saying, join for the food, even if you don't believe in God.
Okay.
Just we eat better. We eat much better.
Okay. Thank you for that message. Okay. So this description, it continues to go on to describe how you collect all the ingredients, the incense and the fragrant oils and the flowers and all these beautiful elements that when you do this practice, what's happened is your mind, because you do it, this is how yoga works. You do something steadily every day over the course of a long period, the mind begins to get trained. It's a refocus, it's a redirection, and you begin to associate the act of service, of not disconnecting from selfishness, connecting with selflessness, and finding happiness and beauty in it. That's what's happening through this practice. And all of the aromas and all of the beautiful visions are helping to achieve that goal. But still deeper is the idea of this connection to seeing God everywhere. So the idea is that I once heard a really good analogy that was about this form of, it's called archana. And technically we're saying deity worship. It's maybe not the best terminology, but this ritual that's done, archana. It said that to see God everywhere is difficult. And it described it as kind of like digging a well. You have to dig so deep. It's so hard. None of us have to do this in our world, right? But back in the day, if you had to dig a well, I assume you just get out the shovels and just start digging and digging and digging and digging. It's so hard to get all the way down to hit water. But where they say like a lake or a pond, the water's right on the surface. And so to find God within your own heart, it's very subtle. It can take a lifetime of deep practice to dig that deep. Whereas when you walk into a temple and you see God in that form, you can connect with God right there, just like you're saying, and you begin to have that personal connection right on the surface. So that's part of the reason. But so the idea is, but the more you do it on the surface, you work towards understanding, seeing God everywhere. So the way this description ends is it says this: It says the worshiper should become fully absorbed in meditating upon themselves as an eternal servant of God, and should thus perfectly worship the deity, remembering the deity's paraphernalia, such as flower garlands. Remembering that the deity is situated within their own heart. That's what we're bringing our mind to that idea. Then they should take the remnants of the deity's paraphernalia, such as flower garlands, upon their own head, and respectfully put the deity back in its own place, thus concluding the ritual. And this is the last verse of the chapter. It says, thus the worshiper of the Supreme Lord should recognize that the personality of God is all-pervading, and should worship him through his presence in fire, the sun, water, and other elements, in the heart of the guest one receives in one's home, and also in one's own heart. In this way, the worshiper will very soon achieve liberation. In this way, they'll break all the negative, crazy, selfish, painful patterns that we have in the mind, become free, and feel God's presence in everyone, in themselves, everywhere. It's meant to go there. So you got to begin to put if you don't understand all those connections, it can seem bizarre or primitive or simplistic or silly.
This is real psychiatry.
Yeah.
Right.
So if we're doing this if we're doing this for our spiritual advancement and for us to find God in our heart and have a relationship with God in our heart, where is the part where we get to the point? I feel like when I approach it, it's more to please God, but not for my own understanding of what God is. And through pleasing God, that realization comes. This feels like it's this ever revolving. I don't know.
I get it. Yeah. So in other words, say that I would imagine there are like not only thousands, millions of people in India that are going into the temples, not without a full understanding of what we were just talking about, right? But they are going in and they have a simple faith where there's Radha and Krishna on the altar of the temple, and they are the Lord of my heart. But here they are in the temple. Let me come and see them the way that I would see a friend, right? Let me come and offer them something. Let me bring some fruit, and offer to them. Bring some flowers and offer to them. Whether I'm fully aware of the science of all of this and the psychology of all of it or not, it's still directing my mind in a particular way.
There's a psychology there.
Yeah.
Just like if you're going to, hey, let's go see the Mets tomorrow night. The Mets are in town. Let's go see the Mets. I got season tickets to the New York Giants. Whatever it is, that is in your focus. That's in your consciousness. That's in your mind. And then you're thinking, how can I, I'm going to wear, what shirt are you going to wear for that? I'm going to wear my Giants shirt. Yeah. Or whatever. And you're thinking, what are we going to eat when we get there? Oh man, I like this food. Right? We're going to have a tailgate party. So whatever you're planning, whatever event you're planning to, it starts to take control of your mind. The same thing is happening when, hey, we live in Delhi. I'm a Delhi wali, and I want to go to Braj to see Lord Krishna. And I'm thinking, what temples? I want to see Bihariji when I get there. So it's one of these things, like in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I want to see Bihariji. I want to see Krishna Balaram. I want to see Radha Shama Sundar, right? I want to go to see Radha Raman. And that gets in our mind. Well, what are you going to wear when we go there? And what are we going to eat? Oh, I like those aloo tikkis in front of Bihariji that they serve.
It brought your mind to the center of the universe that way, right?
Yes.
It brought your mind to the center.
Brought my mind to the aloo tikkis, I think.
But I think this is a great point that you're making. In other words, like for instance, right now, I think like yesterday or the day before, something like that, like one baseball player hit his like 700th home run, right?
You really like baseball.
I'm just telling you, I don't need to really like baseball to know that. It's all over the news, And so like a lot of people are thinking about that, but what's happening when he hit that home run? Like 60,000 people jumped up or 40,000 people jumped up and started praising him. Right? They started praising him. This is glorious what you've done. That people were admiring him, and within their hearts, they were feeling something, and their minds are being directed towards this person. It's our nature. Our mind will be drawn to something in a sense, in a worshipful mode. So what these meditators, again, what they realize is, let's focus that. Let's not let that just drift anywhere. Let's focus it right on the root of all existence. But let's get back to you. So your question was, you said, I go to the temple and I want to please God, right? Let's rephrase it if you need.
So if you're approaching this deity, or what's the word for deity worship? Archana. If you're approaching it to engage your senses and have this personal relationship with God, right? And meditation and help your, where is the part where you're not doing it for your own finding God in your heart, but you're doing it to please God? Like it's
The act of wanting to please God is where the meditation is meant to take you, right? In other words, when we offer a meal to the deity, is it because God needs it?
I just
Okay, let me try to explain that God doesn't need us to cook for him. God doesn't need us to dress him in any particular way or to offer incense. He's got everything. He's independent. He's self-sufficient, right? But we need to reconnect. We need to reconnect. So he accepts it, right? He accepts it, and he provides a method by which we can reconnect, a way that we can bring him in. So we both understand the signs beyond that. I benefit from this. My mind will benefit from this. My mind will be healed and redirected and powerfully healed through this process. So I'm doing it for my own betterment, but I'm also doing it. What is my own betterment? My own betterment is that my love for God arises in me. I have a potential to love God and serve him at every moment, not only in this 20-minute ritual, but like in my every thought and my every action. And so this is going to help me become that full-time lover of God by doing this practice. So I'm doing it for his pleasure. That's how I'm supposed to think. And through this ritual, I'm at every moment, my every thought, my every word, my every action may be for his pleasure. So it's a way of cultivating that within oneself. But it's all about haritoshanam. It's all about bringing pleasure to God. And by bringing pleasure to the root of all existence, we also feel that pleasure, and every living being feels that pleasure.
Yeah, I feel like I'm asking too many questions, but so what about if you have deities in your home, you're neophyte, like me, and you get more information, and then it's like, oh, I'm doing this wrong, and then you get like, how can you keep it for people that want to have deity worship and they're practicing in their home? How can you do it in a simple way where you're not making offenses or you're not unknowingly doing something that's going to have like an adverse kind of adverse effect? Yeah. Probably.
Here, what I love about the Vaishnava tradition is that there's so many examples of people doing it ritualistically wrong, but doing it 100% right. And the first thing that comes to mind is the wives of the Brahmins. The Brahmins were trained in all the ritual, in all the mantra, tantra, yantra. They had the fire. They were dressed impeccably clean. They were they knew all the Sanskrit. They had the Sanskrit umpires for telling them where to put the accents on, and this, you did that wrong. And very simply, Krishna and Balaram, right? What's the goal of religion? Or goal of yoga? To reconnect with God, to serve God, to develop love in your heart. And here is Krishna and Balaram. They're hungry. And if you've ever been to a Vedic sacrifice, it's like they have this beautiful fire in the middle, and then like coconuts and papayas and mangoes and decorating the fire. So of course, Krishna and Balaram, they're starving. Why are they starving? They're playing. They're kids. They're playing. They're exhausted. Kids get hungry. And so all of a sudden they say, oh, well, look, these guys are religious people. There's a bunch of fruit and coconuts around that fire. Just go ask those religious priests to give us some of that offering. We're the goal of the offering anyway. And so sure enough, sometimes in the name of religion, we miss the point of it. And so when the little boys approached the Brahmanas, hi, excuse me, Krishna and Balaram, they looked at Krishna, the little coward boys, and said, get out of here. You're dirty, you're messy, you're going to contaminate this important religious offering. And they chased the boys away, and the boys were scared. They went back to Krishna and Balaram. They told us, get out of here. We were too dirty. And Krishna, understanding the minds of our external ritual, and went to the people who had the internal love. And so rituals, and they went to just to finish the story, they went to the wives of the Brahmin who were not so educated, were simple householders, taking care of a kid in one arm, kid in the other arm, taking care of the house. They weren't educated in Vedic rituals. And they knocked on that door. Hi, Krishna and Balaram are hungry. And they dropped everything. Krishna and Balaram are hungry. Krishna and Balaram are hungry. And they immediately went through the cupboards. They had the cupboards back then. And the refrigerator, they had a double refrigerator that opened up.
They probably did have cupboards.
They might have, yes. They had a double refrigerator and they had some tater tots in the freezer. Krishna and Balaram didn't like tater tots, though. Anyway, my point is that as simple as they were, they had Krishna in their heart and they had a strong desire to serve. Krishna understands the mood of the devotee. Even the devotee may not be so sophisticated. So many stories about that. Krishna understands. And the simple analogy is if you have a little toddler and the toddler's pointing to the water jug and going, wah, 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 wah. A good parent is not going to say, if you want water, say it correctly. No, a good parent will understand the intention of the child.
Water.
No water. You're going to fast unless you say that word right. No, a good parent understands the intention of the child. You want some water, honey? Let me get you some water. Krishna understands your intention.
Okay, but one thing, Raghunath, but that doesn't mean that the person performing this ritual doesn't take care to do it well.
No, yes. Just like with harmonium. Sometimes you see people play harmonium very beautifully, but you see this a lot in kirtans throughout. Actually, you see it everywhere. But they play it, but I'm not interested unless the person is devoted to Krishna.
Never forget the essence. Is what
we don't forget the essence, but at the same time, supposedly that's me. I want to do kirtan for Krishna. And I'm not so good at harmonium. Hey, learn the harmonium, how to do it nicely. Learn different melodies for different times of day. Learn the different ragas. So it's always good to refine our ritual, but we can't put the ritual in front of the essence. It's the essence that really counts.
But I think to speak even more directly to her saying that you mentioned offenses, right? And if we go to the text on Bhakti, they describe aparadas, right? So we use the word offense. We use the word offense, but really, like the Sanskrit word is aparada, which means that which is counter to the worshipful mood that you're cultivating, right? And so within this ritual, it is described that. So it's not like this primitive idea again, like the deity is going to wipe you out, it's going to flood the town, it's going to, like because you made
they
some.
They
can. But because you made some random mistake or something like that. But the idea is that the way that the practice works is that it's meant to cultivate a sensitivity, just like practical etiquette does in the world, right? Like there's a way that you're meant to, like what was post or whatever, like there was a meaning to all of that kind of stuff, like so that you become a civilized, sensitive person, so that you actually care about other people and not just yourself. That there's etiquette. And so it's a similar kind of idea. Like when you look at how puja works, it's basically like inviting someone into your home. Please come in, have a seat. Let me offer you something. It's meant to cultivate that mood of service. And so if we're doing stuff that is actually callous within that ritual, then it's actually counterproductive. It's not helping you. And so therefore, one should really be trained in it. And if one's not so well trained, it should be kept very simple. Keep it really simple, and then gradually learn more and more about it. But the idea is that if you have the deity of, say, Krishna in your home, that the home begins to revolve around this. The home becomes more clean. The home becomes more peaceful. The home becomes more like the activities that you do. Like in other words, feel like a real idiot if you have your temple there, your altar there in your living room, and then you're sitting there watching some ridiculous stuff on television in front of the deity. You're like, hold it, you begin to feel like this doesn't work. This is like, I brought the Lord of my life into my home and I'm totally ignoring him to watch this absurd stuff on television. maybe I don't need this television, you know. And so it's like this, you know, my house is like, you know, messy. Maybe I need to clean it up because it's his house now. And you know, I eat this junk food. Maybe I need to prepare something nice. You know, and in this way, like, it's purifying the home, and it's purifying the family, and so on. But it can be kept simple. You know, it can be a simple picture of Radha and Krishna. Especially, we worship, for those that are in this lineage, we worship Gaura Nitai. It's like they have a special mood. It's God in a special mood that's very tolerant and accepting. You know, so but I say keep it very simple. You know, it doesn't have to be elaborate. Right?
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I will say that, you know, if you ever have jasmine or a fragrant flower growing, you know, around your front door or something, or inside the house, it's something about jasmine. It smells like the whole house. It takes over the whole house. Yeah. And so when the deity is in the house, it takes over the entire consciousness. Oh, we've got to keep, like Kosi was saying, I've got to keep it clean for Krishna. Oh, there's flowers growing in the front lawn. Let's offer those to Krishna. Oh, I just came back from the grocery store. Let's offer this to Krishna. And this is what we want. This is what meditation is. It's not just like, okay, I went to the therapist and now I'm fixed. It's like, it's going to start to permeate the course of the day, all day long. That sort of, that little focus is going to help me deal with the ups and downs of my day. You're doing it, Prabhu. You're already doing it. You've prepared this whole festival for us. And now as we go back into our crazy world that we have to face, I'm taking a little bit of the association and the kirtan. I'm laying in bed. I'm singing these songs that the people were singing. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Jai Shri.
You're doing it. Jai Shri Kavacha Designs, Harry Bol. Check out her kavachas. Sacred armor. Harry Bol. Oh, this is fun. That was a great answer. You're very, very wise. Elbows off the table. Emily Post.
Do we have another question?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Ken Putnam, bring him down. Ken Putnam. Oh, sorry. Ken Putnam. Ken Putnam. He's a Zoomer. He's another.
Ken Putnam Motors.
Ken Putnam Motors.
17.
Come on down for a good deal. Oh, Ken Putnam, Ford Lightning. Okay, Harry Bol. Okay. Great to see you.
Thank you.
We're staying at Ken Putnam's house tonight. Looking forward to. Is that today? That's tomorrow. Tonight. We're staying at Ken Putnam's house. What's your story? Ken, tell your story. How you got here? You can keep it brief, but just so we get to introduce you to our audience, because you're a regular other. You listen practically every day.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
How'd you?
It's on a podcast because you can just, at my convenience, right, in my busy life. So it's nice. Yeah. A friend recommended me this, and then I got hooked. And once you're hooked, you're hooked. Really forgive me because I'm really not qualified to even be asking questions. So just dismiss this question quickly if it's not appropriate.
I'm ready for this now.
You hear a lot of things, and I hear pure love of God, and just like, what is that? What does that mean? And where do you find it, and what does it feel like? And you guys take it from here.
That's a good question. I think there's a very simple answer and a very we can go into like a sort of esoteric answer. Because in one sense there is a level of pure love of God. At the same time, once we're engaging our senses in a regular sadhana, even though we may not be perfected, we're acting as if in pure love of God. Like if someone's walking into the shower, you can't call them dirty, right? Even though they might still be dirty, they're walking in the shower. Sometimes people say, we went to the temple was crazy. Of course they're crazy people in the temple. We're all going there because we got issues and we're trying to get better. Expect crazy when you go to the temple. We're all sick. We're recognizing at least we're recognizing we're a little sick in the head and we want to help ourselves. So we go through this path, we go through this process. We're tolerant with other people in the hospital and we're hoping for them. We're not trying to condemn them. We're praying for them. And we ourselves are walking in for our own edification and purification. Now, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Rupa Goswami, he also explains a different type of pure devotional service, and this is probably where you're going to go. That was my guess.
Well, I can if you like. What would you like me to do? Would you like me to go there?
I just like you to be you.
Okay, so
You be you.
well, yeah,
You do you.
in one sense, that is a great place to start. In other words, what is pure love of God? It means pure of something, right? Impure means that there's some ingredient mixed into something that's changed, that's kind of diluted it in some way, or there's some impurity that needs to be removed. And so this great teacher of Bhakti Yoga, Rupa Goswami, he wrote that pure, he called it Uttama Bhakti, meaning like the highest, or you could say the purest form of devotional love or love of God is pure. He mentions two things. He mentions karma and jnana. And what that means is there's a motive within Vedanta, within this ancient practice. There are different levels of the practice for people with different qualifications to practice, you could say. Really what that means is how deep their attachments are, right? So with people with very deep material attachments, there are practices where you cultivate living in this world and trying to enjoy the things of this world, but doing it in a better way, doing it in a more sensitive, more respectful, more grateful way. But pure love of God is free of that. It's free of wanting the things of this world. I don't approach God for the things of this world. When love is pure, love of God is pure, I'm not asking for the things of this world. That has to be filtered out. Then the second impurity would be, I've recognized that the things of this world, all the enjoyment that I get from the things of this world, they bring pleasure, but they also bring pain. And I began to this is called jnana. I have the knowledge. I've recognized that this world is more a trap than it is like a pleasure ground. So now I no longer desire the things of this world. What I desire, and even that phrase gives us a clue of like impurity, right? Like what I want. That's not pure love. Pure love means, what do you want, right? So when I'm in that, what I want is I want to escape the sufferings of this world. I want to find peace from the troubles of this world. I want liberation. I want to merge into the oneness and feel a deep, blissful sense of peace. It's a really, if you go into Vedanta, it's a whole lot of Vedantas talking about this kind of stuff. And a lot of people that follow it, that's their goal. But Rupa Goswami is saying pure love of God is also free of that, even that, right? Even approaching God for, I want freedom from the sufferings of this world, and I want peace. Pure love of God doesn't have that. Pure love means, what do you want? I love you. My happiness, I find my happiness pleasing you. That's what love means. And so he's trying to direct us in that way. That's why Srimad Bhagavatam is such an important book, because there's a whole big group of texts that are dealing on that karmic level, how to enjoy the things of this world, but in a better way, that'll help you move forward spiritually. And then there's a whole lot of books that have a focus on how to escape the sufferings of this world. But when you get to the Bhagavad Gita, begins to clarify things, and Bhagavatam goes into great detail about exactly this, what it is that we're trying to purify. We're trying to purify ourselves of any selfish desire. And then we'll have a heart that's able that we're able to complete. Like, for instance, Raghunath, if someone came up to you and they said, Raghunath, I love you.
Yeah.
Raghunath, I want to make you happy. I want I want to spend my life with you, and
What would maybe my answer? Like, who are you?
Who are you? Could you send me a photograph? And but if you knew they were speaking words of love, but deep down they had another desire, like, say, all of your money.
I have no money.
Then they were gone, right? or they thought they could become famous by being connected to you or something like that. Right. Then there's an impurity in there. Even though they're speaking love, there's an impurity there.
When you know the motive, an ill motive, then it's sort of like you don't want to let that person close. So Krishna wants us close. He actually really desires us close. So what he does very cleverly is if we're sincere, he starts to pick away our motives. And sometimes our motives, we don't even realize our motives are impure. Sometimes we don't even realize, like, wow, that was, even my waking up early to go to the morning program was for a motive. I wanted to prove how renounced and how cool I was. We can do spiritual life to be cool. You know,
Are you talking about us that are gathered here right now?
no, not you guys. You guys have very pure motives.
Okay.
But in your path, Krishna will shine some light, because Krishna wants to get closer to you. So he wants to remove that motive. And then we have an option. Do I want to remove the motive, or do I just want to keep going along with my disguise, my costume that I'm wearing to present to everybody else? Krishna's expert at this.
That's right through it.
Cuts right through it. What are you actually attached to? Are you attached to me? Right? And he'll start like throwing these things in our way. I mean, this really nice man, Gopinath, was sharing his very difficult time he was going through. His wife died. And he was like, it was a devastating story. He came home and his wife had passed, and he was so publicly vulnerable. And we started talking yesterday, and he's like, and he had, even though he's grieving, he's going, I know I don't own her. I know I never owned her, but she gave me so much pleasure. She was so loving to me, and I really miss her. And I know Krishna's doing it to call me closer to him. It was such a beautiful sentiment from hearing the philosophy and now being forced to put it into practice, or be bitter, be angry, be furious. Here's the deal: whether you accept the philosophy of bhakti or not, we're still going to be put in situations where we're going to lose things that we love. That's just what happens in the material world. The material world is, we're going to get attracted to things of this world, and they're all going to be taken away from us. How are you going to deal with that? So Krishna's got this incredible, key to deal with all the mysteries, the problems of the universe. We've got the answers right here. Oh, I see. You put the phone in front of me to show me the time.
Time's up.
Wait, we have our takeaways.
We don't have takeaways on Q&A day.
Well, I thought some of the things that you said were takeaway worthy.
You too.
Anyway, thanks everybody for joining us. Really appreciate you having on the show. We're back at 8 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, live from Ken Putnam's house.
All right.
Thanks everybody thanks everybody for joining us. Thanks for everybody here at Chant Camp 2023. Give some love, everybody. 22. It's 22. It's 2022. In case you're a year ahead, which I was. That's why I can't be here now. That is my issue. I've been living a year.
There now.
I'm already there. Someone said be there now. That's my book. Thanks, everybody. It's a beautiful day for a beautiful day. Let the magic continue.